yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We practice about 8 hours a day.
The band prepares just like the football team.
It takes a lot of practice, knowing when to turn, knowing when to stop, just remembering all that. It takes a lot.
We'll be leaving off the field at 6, and then take a break and still be coming back once we leaving practice.
I remember my freshman year fall camp was 2 o'clock in the morning. I hit them out there marching. Hell.
Just think about all of those skills and techniques that they execute. It's not just because, it's because their bodies are trained.
Seeing Southern's marching band is simply entertaining. It creates an added atmosphere to what we already consider HBCU culture, right? What's going to an HBCU football game without a band? You go across the SWAC, you go to different stadiums. Number one thing people ask, y'all bring y'all band?
This is Dr. Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You saw it first. Today's show will be a mighty one. You'll see why shortly. But welcome to episode 666 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, but both are on assignment. You're probably used to that from Mike, but we're still working with him. But Charles is on assignment as well. With that being said, we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCUH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, I do have some co-hosts with me. We'll bring them on board. That is none other than Brian Fulford. You know him of the O&G Strike Zone, as they were showing out a little bit yesterday, as well as Brian and AD of Sports Rap. Just giving you some updates as they continue to bring the fire in terms of giving you insight of HBCU sports. Then we have none other than Perry White. And as you notice, he says Emmy Award winner, which is, we showed you a little production and you heard the voice there and he's throughout it. So make sure you catch it up. But before he became an Emmy Award winner, he is also a host of Jaguar Journal. That's on Saturday, 7 o'clock in the morning. So get on up and listen to you. Make sure you get your Saturday started right as you get into listening. That's 107.3 FM. For those that don't catch it streaming, you're passing through Baton Rouge or out of Baton Rouge. I know you already know. You listen to him there. And then if that is not enough, he also is on the Yard Network, YouTube, and all other social media platforms. And then Hall of Fame, SWAC Hall of Fame, multi-Hall of Fame, Coach Cater, retired coach, Hall of Famer, brought him out and said, hey, man, he needs some more work for you to do, and decided to do a television show. So you see, his time is full, so I'm not sure how I got him on the show, but I was able to do it. But with that being said, Brian, how you doing today?
Man, I'm trying to grow up like Perry, man. I'm trying to do something. I feel like I had been doing something until, Professor White came in the building. I'm just going to sit in the back of the classroom and listen and learn. It's going to be one of them episodes today, Doc. I'm doing well, man. It's game 5, baby. I'm ready to send the Knicks home. Series finale.
Nice.
New
That's
York.
not nice.
Done.
That's not nice. Be nice. We got gifts
I'm
on
sorry.
today. Ray White, how you doing?
Man, I'm good, brothers, man. Good to be on here with you guys, man. And look, listen to me, bro. I'm just a hard-working brother, just trying to do something positive with myself, man. That's about all I could do and network with brothers like yourself and many others. And the best thing for me in this business right now, as much work as I'm doing, I'm just trying to learn. It's a lot out here to learn, and I learn something new each and every day, no matter if it's radio, television, or if it's just streaming something basic to Facebook Live, YouTube, or whatever the case may be, man. Look, I'm just trying to learn.
I like that mindset. I tell my students to always understand lifelong learners. That's how you continue to chase your aspirations, more past whatever dreams they are, because we make things become reality. With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, stay close because we have AD Drew. He might join us the second half. He's in Charlotte. He's for the minority baseball prospects. We're going to see if we can get some insight from him. So we'll see if we can get him in on the second half of the show. Right now, we're going to rock it and see what that looks like. Excited about what we're going to bring to the table. But we're going to jump right out there, Brian. What's the news of the day? What has you excited, I should say, this week in HBCU sports?
Wow. Well, Doc, since you come to me first, you're going to force me to start with the big news and friend of our programs, head coach Johnny Hernandez. That's the best way I'm going to frame that. Leads the SWAC regular season and tournament champion Bethune-Cookman Wildcats into the NCAA tournament beginning tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern in the Tallahassee Regional. The Wildcats are the 4 seed, taking on the host seed, Florida State Seminoles. Also in the region, you have 2nd seeded Northeastern, which, as I was listening to the show yesterday, I believe they're part of the CAA, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So you almost slipped up and said Colonial. I always call it Colonial.
I just kept it simple and went with the
Athletic Association.
Yes, see, because I would have messed that up. Listening to you, I always mess it up now. So I just go with initials now.
Hey, what's the Colonial? Always the Colonial. Your mama call you Colonial. I'm gonna call you Colonial.
Exactly. And also the 3 seed Mississippi State from the SEC. So if you're unfamiliar, the regionals are a double elimination regional, just like in softball. So the winners advance, the losing teams play in an elimination game on Saturday the 31st, which elimination games are at 11 p.m. The winners bracket game is at 5 p.m. Of course, Bethune is the 4 seed, 37-21 overall, winners of the SWAC, unbeaten in the SWAC tournament, which was pretty impressive considering all 4 games they had to come from behind to win, but still, needless to say, and probably gave everybody but those of us in Tallahassee probably a great baseball game. I mean, it was a wonderful baseball game for everybody except anybody that was in Tallahassee or wears orange and green. But anyway, I digress. Florida State comes into the region with a 38-14 record. They were runners-up in the ACC. These 2 teams met previously in the year, and I was pulling up the stats on this, Doc. They met back on March the 5th in Tallahassee, okay, at Florida State. It was a game that Florida State ended up winning 9-7. They jumped on Bethune with 4 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning. Bethune did answer back with 3 more runs over the course of the 3rd and 4th inning before Florida State had another 4-run inning. And then Bethune closed out the game with a 3-run 9th inning that made the game 9-7, kind of gave Florida State a little bit of scare down the end. I pulled up one other interesting factoid because we've seen this Bethune-Cookman team. We understand that they have pitching, they have hitting, and we know with baseball, look, if you can avoid giving up the 4-run first inning, as they did. They can very well be in this contest over the course of 9 innings. So I went back and said, what are the chances that, you know what, the 4 seed could beat the host team? This isn't like the NCAA basketball tournament where it has never happened, right? Or even softball. You know, softball, it happened just recently, and that was like rare. That has rarely happened, but it has happened in baseball. Over the past 20 years, it's happened 4 other times. Most recently, it's happened once in, let's see, 2024 to the University of Arizona, who was a host, and they lost their first 2 games. So basically, they got knocked out in the first 2 games they played. Also happened to East Carolina, where they were the 16 seed hosting, and they ended up losing to Evansville in the opening round. Also happened in 2021 to LSU. And hey, get this. Back in 2008, 4 host teams lost their opening games to number 4 seeds. They were Georgia, Stanford, Long Beach State, and guess who? Florida State. Nice. So it's possible. It can happen. If like so, we're going to be SWAC on Saturday and root for Coach Hernandez and his Wildcats. And it's possible. Anything's possible. They could shock the world, or let's say shock the baseball world. Won't be a shock to us in the SWAC because we know what kind of team they have.
You know what's interesting with what you're saying? Just last week, I covered the Baton Rouge Regional for the NCAA softball, and LSU hosted it. It was LSU, Nebraska, UConn, and Southeastern. And Southeastern came in as the 4 seed and knocked off LSU out of there and eliminated them out of their own regional. So You're right. It definitely can happen. I saw it with my own 2 eyes last week.
Yep.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Great point. I'm going to stick with you, Perry. What's some news? What's hot on your mind? Has you excited?
Well, in terms of this baseball tournament, man, I've been watching this year. I've had the privilege of covering SEC baseball. So Mississippi State is one of those teams that I've been watching for me, that I've had my eye on. And Mississippi State, by the time they ended the regular season, along with Florida, were 2 of the hottest teams in the country as they were getting ready to head into the SEC baseball tournament over in Hoover. So Mississippi State is a team to watch out. And then out of nowhere, towards the end of the season, this team, Northeastern, came and cracked the top 25 of the college baseball. And so this is a team also that you have to watch out for. When you look at Florida State, going back at it, 20-3 in non-conference on the season, and then 9-16 in non-conference for Bethune-Cookman. But I think going back to the SWAC tournament, 2 games stood out for me that showed the resilience of Bethune-Cookman. As you said, they came from behind. That Alabama State Bethune-Cookman game still resonates to me. And then just the way that the walk-off to win the SWAC championship, right? You get everybody at the mound. As a coach and as a team, what do we do here? You know, you're going against the co-hitter of the conference for the year. Do I put a fresh arm in? You know, do I leave my guy in and just say, hey, figure it out? And what do Bethune-Cookman do against their biggest rival, the Florida Classic on the diamond? They hit a walk-off and win it. And that shows the resilience of this Bethune-Cookman team. There's a reason they were number 1 this year coming out of the regular season. And they played some damn good baseball. Only 1 team, I believe, got a sweep on them this year. And surprisingly, it was UAPB, who had one of the best seasons since 2019 was the last time they even joined, that they even were able to make it to the SWAC baseball tournament. And they won 17 games in conference play for the first time since 2002. So this year, looking at UAPB, I thought they were a team that I expected more out of when they got to the SWAC tournament, but they lost to Grambling and Southern, blew that 7-0 lead to Southern, and then Southern bats just opened it up, and it was offensive firepower. But I think also we got to tip our hat to Grambling. Grambling did not want to go away against FAMU.
No, yeah.
He made it
3 games. They played 3 games in 24 hours and stayed alive. That, to me, was probably the second most impressive thing in that whole tournament outside of what Bethune did. I mean, that was an impressive day for Grambling. You talk about guts and just that's what a championship team and program and coach, that says something. So props to Grambling for real.
And can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
When we have these teams playing so many games, like you just stated, I saw with the SEC, right? This year, they changed the format where it was a one-game, single elimination, but every team in the conference is invited, all 16 teams. To save the upper echelon or the 4 best teams in the conference who, in actuality, you want to have their possibilities better to get to the big dance, right, to the NCAA regional. Do you think that could be an idea moving forward where all teams are invited and then do single game elimination where you don't put so much stress on some of those teams? Well, it worked itself out this year, right? With number 1, Bethune-Cookman versus number 2, FAMU. But you got to look at FAMU and say, man, I know FAMU was wore out by the time they got to that championship game. And then it was a winners take all. So although FAMU would have been eliminated, which they were with 2 losses, but Bethune-Cookman with 1 loss, regardless, with no losses, regardless had they lost that game, they wouldn't have had a redemption.
Right. Yeah.
I'll let Brian do this. I will say this. I talked to Coach Hernandez, and he did have some thought process of if a team makes it to a championship without a loss. We saw that 2 years ago, and we saw that with Jackson State when Southern got it done. When they were undefeated the whole season, was another game to watch in terms of us pure baseball fans. And I tell, as we talked about the Indy report yesterday, I told them the SWAC fans that are into it, we're baseball purists. We know baseball in this conference, and we follow it just as much as we follow football and basketball in terms of those that are all into it. And you hear that from Perry, and you hear that with Brian in terms of what he's done following MEAC baseball in terms of Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, where they take it quite serious themselves. That's why we're excited about them coming over to the conference, particularly in baseball. But to your point, Brian, I'm going to let you answer that first. But let's do this. Let's take our first break and come back on the other side. And let's take a deeper dive into that. And let's get into that conversation. As you know, we call this in the business a tease. We're going to leave a tease right there, take this first break and come back on the other side and get back into it.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We had a great tease of a question. I'm gonna let Perry White re-ask the question to make sure that we can get back into that dialogue.
Well, sure. You know, looking at the premier conference in terms of college baseball, the SEC, this year they took an approach with a single game elimination, but they invited all 16 teams to the conference tournament over in Hoover. And I looked at it, although it worked itself out with number one versus number two, of course, in this situation in the SWAC. But the situation is Bethune-Cookman had not lost a game the entire conference tournament. It came down to a single championship game in which Florida A&M had one loss. Had Florida A&M won that game, it wouldn't have given Bethune-Cookman an opportunity to redeem itself for that double elimination. So the question is to you guys and everybody in the chat, do you think maybe moving forward that the SWAC should adopt inviting all the teams in the conference to the conference tournament, give everybody a shot, but then give those 4 top seeds a later time to play and make it a single game elimination across the board for the conference?
Ryan, where are you with this? This is a topic. Surprisingly, this is a topic in our little chat zone.
So here's where I think if you're inviting more, I'm not in favor of bringing all 12. I just don't. I think the bottom two. I mean, in this particular year, I don't have my standings right up, but when you look at the bottom 2 teams, you had who? Alcorn and who was it? Was it Alabama A&M?
Yeah, it was Prairie View, Alabama A&M, Alcorn, and Mississippi Valley.
Oh, so okay. So you had Valley and Alcorn, I think, were the bottom 2. Prairie View just missed out. I think they were the 9th seed. I could see bringing 10, but if you bring in 10, I think what you have to do is you have to you have to move up the games to Tuesday, and then I think you would have to give an extended bye where your top 2 teams don't play until Thursday. But then that brings up the interesting question, are we looking at a single elimination early on and then a double elimination? And I think the conference will be very sensitive to doing a single elimination because resources. I mean, let's just be honest. That SWAC schools don't have SEC money, you know? So I would, though, be more in favor. I'll tell you what I would prefer. Keep the 8, start the tournament on Tuesday, and give that extra day as an opportunity for a best of 3 for the 2 teams who come out of the A and B bracket. Now, how would that look? You'd play 1 game on Saturday, and you'd play the next game Sunday, with the potential 3rd game Sunday afternoon or late Sunday evening. That is my preference if I had one.
I think it's fascinating. We see the ACC does this as well. A couple of things that are interesting in this format is when you get to the latter part of the tournament for the SEC, ACC, they only play 2 games a day. For those 4 teams that have the bye, they played it over 2 days. It is single elimination in terms of their format. We've seen some other ones out there that really can get into it with the Sun Belt, where they do a quasi double elimination on the first couple of days for the first teams that get in there, and then single elimination. I guess my question when we get into this, I love this talk, and I think it'll be fascinating to see what the coaches think, and maybe over some time we can ask the questions, coaches, because one of the reasons they change facilities and people don't realize the SWAC office does not dictate tournament, right? The SWAC office was fine because we're getting into this now. We know basketball sent 10 teams last year, and they'll send all 12 next year. And that was a push by the coaches. Coaches felt like, hey, we play this long season. We want our one opportunity to do the dance. So for them, it wasn't about, hey, send your best team or the regular season And I know a lot of people get into that talk, but I always try to remind folks that just because a team wins the regular season doesn't mean they're the best team. It means they had the best season in terms of the mile, what I call the mile versus the relay, which is the tournament.
We saw that in basketball.
Exactly. You can have teams. Let me finish this.
Okay.
Because I think it's important. We can get into that more conversation. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, we equate the fact that a team is the best team because they won it over the season. I get credit. I want to give them full credit because they won it. But let's say they get injured. Well, let's say they're not playing very good basketball at the end of the season, which we've seen. Perry White has been frustrated with Southern in terms of basketball. It feels like last year with the new coach, but previous that they've had some heck of a seasons. They get to the end, and
this past year, both Southern men and women won.
Some of it was whatever going on, but I only bring that up is we assume automatically because the team at the end of the season wins the regular season. They just might have had a great room enough start that they were able to hold on to the championship, and they deserve the championship. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying they're not the championship, but that's two different questions. The best team or the team that was able to win the conference regular season championship. That's two different things. Because a team could be playing the best, but lost players early. I had players hurt that didn't play early. Now on the back end, they went 8 out of 10. Are they the best team because they're playing the best? Perry White talked about UAPB was one of the hottest teams out there in terms of the end of the season run they had. But collectively, they did enough to get to the 4th seed. But that was it. And we saw how it played out in the tournament. It wasn't quite as much. So I think we got to be careful when we just say senior best team because they won the regular season. Now, if you want to reward it, I'm fine with that. If you don't have a tournament and all the money associated with the tournament, which is another question I always ask folks when we start looking at tournament breakdown, why are you doing it? Some folks will say it's about the student athlete experience, which means there's only one team that's going to get to the big dance. But everybody in the conference can get a chance if you decide that we're going to reward all the teams. You're part of the conference. We're going to send everybody. And if you're the best team, we'll live with the consequences of whoever we see to the tournament. And so you really need to get into what is your rationale? What are you trying to get done with they started bringing back the banquet. So now if you bring everybody with the banquet, you can really celebrate everybody at the banquet, give you all your awards. For every player, they get their recognition, which is really something that could be allotted if that's what you're pointing out there in terms of the direction. So I say all that to say I do like the idea potentially that you bring all 10 teams, the bottom 8, the top 4, as you said, they show they're the best, they get the bye. And then you let the other 4 play it out, and the winners go play that team. So I like some ideas of single elimination tournament. It does save the arms, which is a good point there.
Because we know we have the lack of depth, and I'm sure, fam, you would have wanted to be a lot fresher heading into that championship game. But just those multiple games back and forth, there's emotional games at that and forth with Grambling. That takes a toll on the team. And, you know, when we look at the lack of depth already, and what's the number one thing in baseball for us? It's pitching. How many arms do we have to continue to go? As you said, how many games Grambling played in 24 hours?
3.
What more I got in the tank after that, you know?
No, that's what happened to him on Saturday. Fam, you glad though. But and the last thing is you said in terms of that wind up when all the coaches and players went to the mound. The other thing when you're looking inside the numbers is just the previous inning, the guy behind coming up to bat had just hit the 2-run RBI home run the inning before. So there wasn't a lot of ways that you could go, even though Drew would be like, why was the pitcher still in there? But that's a different question. Since I asked it, I don't want to get you in trouble, Drew. You can talk about somebody else. So let's go to this tournament. Already Brian talking about taking your orange and green cards. So stick with Harry's question. What do you think about the tournament?
Obviously I was watching and I put it in the comments and then I text Doc my comment. Excuse me. And I've had this conversation with Brian. I've had this conversation with Dr. Cavil. So, Perry, this is your first time hearing this conversation that I've had with these two. You know, I like the Sun Belt format where they have a combination of singles and doubles with the buys to get to their championship. Single elimination doesn't work. You know, Big Ten, ACC, SEC, all those type conferences, they're playing for seed. They're gonna get 8, 9, 10. Hell, the SEC got 13 in the big dance right now. It don't matter what they do in the tournament. For the smaller conferences, it actually matters who wins the tournament. So you want to make sure that you're sending at that point in time who your best team is. I didn't say for the season. I'm like Dr. Cavil. I didn't say for the season. I said at that point in time. I would, you know, only one team gets to go to the big dance, like Dr. Cavil said. But all 12 teams could go to the tournament, to the conference tournament. I would love to see a format that would allow all 12 teams to go to the conference tournament. Now, that might require us starting on Monday to be able to get that done, which means we have to end the regular season Thursday or Friday of the previous week to allow teams time to travel to Birmingham, which would be for the next 4 years, get their graduations out the way and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I would love to see it. You know, 9, 10, 11, 12, let them be a one and done. Winner stay, loser go home. Y'all ain't gonna do anything anyway. Let those two play 7 and 8 some way, somehow. You match them up against 7 and 8. So they're at another disadvantage for having to play extra games. 1 through 6, let them get a bye. Once you get it down to 8 teams, then you go with your double. That's how I would do it.
The lower seeds, though, you know, y'all ain't gonna do anything anyway. Dr. Cavil made a good point. Some of those teams could have dealt with injuries where they're right on point, where it's time for them to make that run. And Texas Southern do that in basketball.
That's why you let them in, Perry. That's why you let them in. If they can win 2 games, then they get to the double elimination portion where it starts over. And yes, we know what Texas Southern did. What was that, 3-4 years ago, where everybody was hurt, and then all of a sudden, the month of February, Texas Southern got hot. We remember that run. But also, Perry, we talk about these 2 teams, and this is how unique Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, not only finishing the season as the number 1 and the number 2 team in the conference, but also making it to the championship game. You do realize both teams do not have their number 1 starters and haven't had them for a while. So the fact that those 2 particular teams had the pitching depth to get through at least half the season without their number 1 starters, well, we've got other teams struggling to find a number 2 and a number 3 starter and to piece it together. Yeah, we had the best 2 teams in the finals. No way, no doubt about that. So just think how these teams would have been if they both would have had their number 1 starter all season. Think about how different that series may have been if FAMU has this number 1 and Bethune has their number 1 when those 2 teams face head up earlier this season. So, yeah, things could have been a little bit different, and we may not have had that if game on Saturday had FAMU had their number 1, who, by the way, was the pitcher of the year in the SWAC in 2024.
Oh yeah, that's certainly. Injuries play a role, there's no question. Brian, you wanted to jump in here. I know you wanted to get your concern with the language of best. I don't know if I changed your mind yet, but I know you paused there a little bit. So,
it was about the overall. See, I like how you said, do you know if you're the best team overall? When you play 90% of the teams in the conference, I'm comfortable with giving you the title of the best team. Winning the regular season means something. In years past, where it used to be East versus West, do we really know who's the best? I mean, don't get me started on my argument with softball. You know, y'all want to run these West Division teams out there and give awards to people on the West who don't play nobody, but all the top teams, all the teams on the East did.
Final 4 from the East.
I mean, what?
That's why I can't invite nobody on the show, man.
I love it. That's
I'm a host, and they attack me like this. You know, I got my Texas Southern. I ain't talking about the Prairie folks out there.
Hey, Brian, take it one step further. In baseball, the only win that the Old West had was when Grambling defeated FAMU on that Friday night.
See, I thought we was
Shout
all
out to
for one and
Grambling.
one
Shout out
for
to
all.
Grambling.
See, look, that's Drew, right? Drew Perry did that. Thank you, Perry. He did
we
that.
just all swag east up in this thing now. I see. Okay. We all.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't going there in baseball. Drew did that.
Perry, that's why I need to make sure you come on the show more regularly. So
Hey, we got 2 East and 2 West on the broadcast right now.
You got a lot of too much East love out of here. You know, we're the West Side. With that being
But I mean,
said,
in all honesty, look across the board. Though I mean,
no, yeah, really, no, this is what it is. And what was funny coming into this, a lot of folks thought so much of the power would be in the West. Other than men's basketball, that has not been the case.
No, it has not, and that is an honest conversation to have of what is going on with those schools that are over in the East when you look at the Florida and Alabama and you mix in Mississippi along with that and compare them to Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, you know, where you see the difference. You saw it in softball, like you said. You see it in baseball. You've seen it in football. I mean,
and in basketball this year.
Still has yet to host the SWAC championship. It's been in Mississippi and Florida, right, in football. And so when I'm looking at this at the same time, I guess I'll take it back to baseball. I just felt for Florida A&M, they would have been so much fresher if they did not have to play that many games. No doubt. And no doubt about it is, I thought it would have been a travesty since the whole tournament has been a double game elimination that had Bethune-Cookman come up short in that game. If it wasn't for that walk-off home run, that Bethune-Cookman season would have ended right there after all of the success that they had through the conference by going undefeated in that tournament. That one game would have determined it for them, while FAMU would have had multiple opportunities to continue to claw their way to that shot.
And this comes from somebody who went to Southern, who did it to Jackson State in 2019.
Oh, we're going to take this next break because I want you to get all that thought out because I think it's important. As we do that, I did want to say what's also unique with baseball, what makes it a challenge, is essentially that SWAC tournament becomes the HBCU National Championship or the Black College Nouns Baseball Crown. We'll talk a little bit about that. Unlike basketball, shout out to Dr. Wes Bellamy, the CEO of the Black College Invitational Championship. And with the talk of the expansion again today, with the president of the NCAA talking about expansion, I think it's going to really hurt, obviously, NIT, which means the position of the Black College Invitational Championship becomes stronger, particularly if you can put some financials behind it as they were able to pay the teams. But if we can grow that, I think it becomes meaningful because now you can set up for these independent programs, the SWAC school and the MEAC schools that do not make the tournament. You have that. Unlike baseball, essentially all your strength is there. You know, obviously you have your 4 former members of the MEAC playing in NEC. You have A&T, but in terms of what they have done in the regular season, outside of A&T, maybe they're not even in the top 10. So you couldn't do it for baseball, unlike you can do it for Division II in the NIA postseason championship, which I think is a wonderful thing. You don't have that ability. So again, sport to sport, you have to look at it too, because what works in one sport may not work in the other sport. Let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side, make sure Drew is able to get his point in. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Black College Nines baseball crowns for what they call the small division and the large division. We call it the major and the mid-major division. I want to get y'all thoughts in terms of those rankings. Obviously, the top is pretty obvious, but the other teams in there, we'll look at maybe the top 5. You can go to the website if you want all 10 of them. But I want to get in and give some love to the mid-majors as well for some great season. And we have an expert here, AD Drew, to talk a little bit about that. But I know Perry White does his homework as well as Brian, so we'll talk about that a little more right after this next break.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Man, we got a full broadcast here. Started out slow, but now we're here with everybody involved. Let's get back into a little talk about this. Charles, did you want to get any thoughts? We're going to let Drew give his comments, but you're able to give some comments maybe whether you would like your thoughts in terms of the bracket changes that following more of a SEC, ACC model where you invite everybody like you see the SWAC doing in basketball in terms of that. Before I do that, let me let AD Drew come back with his thoughts before we had to take the break.
Yeah, I was going to say it's interesting, Perry's last comment, considering he's a Southern person and what Southern did, I'm sorry, Charles, to Jackson State in 2019, I believe that was, 2018, when Jackson State was undefeated in conference, regular season, had ran through the tournament, got to, if I remember right, didn't Southern have to win the if game to get there, and then they beat Jackson State, bottom of the eighth inning, or was it top of the eighth inning? I can't remember who was the
it was in the eighth inning. I remember that.
It was in the eighth inning though when they hit the home run that went through the fence, or if I remember right, we didn't know whether it was a home run or not a home run at that point in time. By the way,
Jerry White does.
Yeah. At the moment when it was hit, we didn't know what it was. So it's just interesting that Perry still doesn't like the format, even though Southern was the benefit of it in 2019. And by the way, Perry, that was the second greatest game in the SWAC that I have personally witnessed. There, this one right here, even though my team came out on the bottom end of it, had to be the greatest game that I witnessed personally. You know, I've read about some of the other games in the past, but with my own two eyes, either watching or in person, Southern Jackson State is number 2. This past championship would be number 1. And number 3, by the way, would be the 14th inning game from about 3 years ago that I personally witnessed.
And I'll say, although we did benefit, does not mean I agree with it, right? We benefited from it, right? But that was, imagine how Jackson State felt in that situation. That's what I'm saying. That could have been very well been Bethune-Cookman this past week where, man, we won every game. We lost 1, and that's all it took while everybody else had to take 2 to go home. So, yeah, Southern may have benefited from it, but that's why I'm still making the point that I'm okay with a single game because I saw the possibility of what could have happened to Bethune-Cookman is the same thing of what happened actually to Jackson State. So because we benefited from it, does not mean necessarily that I totally agree with it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I'm getting in late on the conversation. I just saw FAMU and Southern, and I thought I better peek my head in here. So
well, let's
like reset it.
Yeah. Make sure that it's right. I knew it's too much.
Where it started is not where we're at, Charles. Just to put it like that to you.
Okay.
The other issue we had was so much East love. We need to bring in some West love here, because you said very early on with the expansion of swag, watch out for the East. Now his chest is just out like a chest.
And I can hear the Southern disdain up in here. Everybody like, yeah, Perry the Southern guy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I feel it. It's in the air. All right.
So as we get into this, Black College Nines release their baseball crowns. Bethune-Cookman, both of these probably are true. No question about what took place here. Bethune-Cookman University did the large division, what we call the major division, and Talladega did the small school division, which we call the mid-major division, if you would. Let me give you the top five and kind of get your thoughts. Do you agree? And I'm looking more in terms of 2 through 5. You know, do you have any questions there? Because I think all of us are on the same page in terms of both of these teams are getting it done. And number 5, you have Jackson State, 30-21. Number 4, you have Grambling State at 26-28. They're the only team with a losing record in the top 5. And number 3, you have Alabama State, 31-29. FAMU is 33-25. And Bethune-Cookman is 37-21. All of those stayed in their same position, the top 5. Start with you, Charles. Any concern in terms of 2 through 5? Are you aligned with what we have here?
I think I'm in line. I think, in fact, I think that's how I voted. 2 through 5, Jackson State 5, Grambling 4, Bama State 3. Did you say Bama State 3?
Correct.
Yeah, FAMU too. So yeah, I'm pretty much in alignment with that. I thought, you know, in taking a look at the teams, and I don't know what Grambling's record being, what it is, but I thought they were as explosive a team as any team out there that was not named Bama State, FAMU, or Bethune. So I can go with that.
Brian, your thoughts, 2 through 5. Any concern there?
No, I'm with Charles. I think that's exactly how I voted. And the big thing with Grambling being number 4 was the simple fact that Grambling did play, as I said, those 3 games in 24 hours and won
Two out of 3, yeah.
Won 2 out of the 3. So to me, that was impressive. So yeah, and just think they came that close to. Well, no, it wasn't close. Let me stop lying. But
anyway. It was for the first 2. He tried to be kind. AD Drew.
I did. I tried to be kind.
Just for the sake of conversation, you could possibly make an argument for Jackson State and Grambling to be flip-flop, because Grambling was upside down overall for the season, whereas Jackson was right side up overall. Jackson State having a better non-conference than Grambling. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but the only way that I could make that argument, I would have to go back and actually look at who Jackson State played non-conference versus who Grambling State played non-conference. So, you know, just on the surface, you can look at it and make that argument. I'm not 100% sure I would go with it, but it is worth exploring.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it out there. Perry White, any problem with 2 through 5?
I'm going to quote Nelly on this
one. You want to push him up a little bit?
No, I'm going to quote Nelly on this one, man. He had a song say, I am number 1. 2 is not a winner, and 3, nobody remembers. It don't matter who all after number 1. It is.
My home time.
Hey, just cut the lights off and just pick, and it is what it is. If you didn't win, it all matters who's number 1 at this point. It's Bethune-Cookman.
That's real talk. I will say this, though, as we have this East-West talk, formerly of the East for the 5 top teams out of the East. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's get into this small school top 5 programs. Talladega, as I said, was champ. But when you get after that, it's split between the HBCU AC, SIAC. Boy, what that would have looked like in a College World Series this year, other than Talladega making the tournament, Albany State making the tournament in terms of the respective NCAA Division II and NAIA, I should say. But at number 2, you have Albany State out of the SIC. Excuse me, let me start at number 5. You know, I like to start from the bottom to the top. Number 5 is Wiley University, HBCU AC, 34-17. I was disappointed that they got derailed in the tournament. I did not get that Talladega Wiley University matchup that I wanted to see so bad. What they said, they still had a great season. And number 4, Edward Waters University at SIAC, Florida, playing some good baseball again, even at the Division II level. 34-19 they had on the season. And number 3, Savannah State, SIAC, 32-14, Division II as well. Number 2, Albany State University started off slow, but finished the season strong and made the run in the tournament, 31-22, getting it done. Number 1 again, Talladega College. Go back around. I'm gonna start with you, Perry. Any concerns? Or are you sticking with your first statement? All that matters is number 1.
I'm number 1. 2 ain't a winner, and 3 nobody remember. That's all that. At this point in the season, that's all that matters. Now, we was a few weeks ago, we'll have that discussion. But once it's all said and done, whoever won it all, that's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you want to talk about nothing else. Brian, I like it.
40 plus wins, well-deserved. Talladega, Albany State, good job. Hey, Albany State probably they were the 4 seed in the SIC tournament, ended up winning the SIC. So that's probably the biggest, maybe the biggest jump because they jumped over Savannah State and Edward Waters, teams that I think were they were the
Savannah. Edward was 3, Savannah was 2.
Yeah, so
when he won it.
Yeah, so that okay. So then, yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. Like Perry said, Talladega, give them props. Toast to the champions.
Yeah.
80 Drew.
1-2, no problem. Both of them won their conference tournaments. Both of them actually picked up a win in their respective national tournaments. So we need to make sure we need to make sure we note that. 3, 4, 5, there could be some debate. You didn't mention number 6, Dr. Cavil, which was West Virginia State. They were 27-23. You know, and no disrespect to Wiley, but West Virginia State played much better competition in their Mountain East Conference than Wiley played in their HBCU AC Conference. So once again, one can make the argument for bumping West Virginia State into the mix and moving Wiley out of the mix. Edward Waters, Savannah State. There's an argument. There's a real strong argument to flip those two in the rankings. I can't remember who won the season series between those two, but you can consider making an argument about between Savannah State and Edward Waters. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Savannah State.
But Savannah State went further in the tournament than Edward Waters did. So, you know, there are a lot of different things that you have to consider. But I just want to make sure that we don't leave West Virginia State out of the conversation, because they very well should be considered top 5.
I can dig that. Charles?
Out of curiosity, what am I missing? Does Alabama State have a midweek against Talladega? Or I'm just curious. I want to see Talladega against some swag competition midweek.
Ooh. I'd have to go look at that schedule. You want to see?
I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's a 40 win. And when I got an opportunity to broadcast Black College World Series last year, I got a chance to watch them up close. They hit the cover off the ball. So I'm just curious, you know, as to, you know, whom they're scheduling. I got an opportunity to see Wiley, a midweek game against Texas Southern. Very impressed. They went heads up with Texas Southern through 6 innings, if I'm not mistaken, before Texas Southern caught the McGregor Park wins and started hitting home runs left and right. But I'm just curious with some of these Division II teams, like when they schedule, do they get any FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State, Jackson State blood on their hands?
We don't play Division II in NAIA schools, Charles. We don't do that in Tallahassee.
No.
I just looked at the Talladega schedule and they do not have it on there. And
Yeah.
according to them, I can
Can't speak for everybody else in the
That's how
Slack.
Jackson State get that record every year, don't it?
I was
Look
gonna
like they the
pick on.
best
I
Perry
was
said.
gonna pick on.
Perry said it, not me. Perry said it, not
Hey,
me.
I was
listen.
gonna pick on the Braves.
Also, you have to keep in mind some of these schedules are a product of geography. Whereas in Florida, there's no reason for a Florida A&M or Bethune-Cookman to be playing the Division II and the Division or NAIA because there are so many quality Division I programs in that area. Whereas when you're in Mississippi, you sometimes that might be the only game that you could get within a 2-hour bus ride for a Wednesday midweek.
Perry, I will say that is a fair argument because a lot of people around watching Jackson State baseball do sit back and notice, okay, you got a midweek against Sugaloo, you got a midweek against Russ, and every year you somewhere close to 30 some odd wins, and then we see what happens kind of in the tournament. So that's a fair argument to ask in terms of, you know, the competition, you know, that Jackson State sees during the course of the week.
Wasn't it Alcorn State that got in trouble in terms of their loss to non-Division I team?
It is.
I don't know how they don't want to
That
play.
wasn't the only loss that got him in trouble, Dr. Cavil. It was about the other 40 losses too.
Let's take this quick break before we get all y'all in trouble and come back on the other side, and we'll get your last thoughts in terms of where we are with the academic year. Obviously, we can give a little shout out to Alabama State in terms of the awards and get your thoughts in terms of the finish for those all sports trophy awards. We'll be right back on the other side and get your final thoughts on that.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we say in the academy, we have the brothers of the academy. We have all the professors in here tonight. Professor White, Professor Drew, Professor Bishop, and Professor Fulford. Let's get into it and look at the who claimed the 24-25 SWAC Commissioner Cup. We're going to break it down in terms of the men's and the women's on those sides. I'm going to give you the top four. We're going to break it down in terms of the top four. You can see the list of all 12 members. So we're going to do the top third to let you see who's really elite, as I like to break it down. Starting with the C.D. Henry Award, that's for the men's. Best sports programs, number 4, Bethune-Cookman. With their run baseball, jumped up a spot and was able to nab the 4th spot. At number 3, you have Texas Southern, 68. And at number 2, you have Alabama State, 68.5. Number 1, Jackson State at 72.0. Shout out to Ashley Robinson, who teased in a good way. I got the text to make sure I share it with Texas Southern's AD, Dr. Kevin Granger, letting him know that, hey, that the award belongs in Jackson. And I was at the athletes retreat this week, earlier today. Started yesterday, and Dr. Green just said make sure they got some work to do. So I like that. I love how serious they take it. At number 4 on the women's side, you have Prairie View A&M women at 77. And number 3, Florida A&M at 78.5. That championship for women's track, and along with the other sports closing out, and allowed them to bump up all the way to 3. And number 2, Southern at 85.5. Alabama State at 94.5. So you see Alabama State 2 on the men's side, 1 on the women's side for Maggie Jacket, the Barber Jacket, to the Maggie Award. Meaning the James Frank Commissioner Cup top 4 programs, there were 2 tied for 4, so I'm going to give both of them. Tied for 4 was Texas Southern at 133 and Alabama A&M. Number 3 was Southern at 139.5. Jackson State at 147.5, Alabama State at 163. As it got a little closer, they still out front. Shout out to Dr. Jason Cavil. Called him up. I said, man, this is going to go a long way as I do my ranking for the top 5 HBCU ADs. I said, that helps put you in a position. He said, well, I appreciate what you do because you at least have metrics. I said, we got to do. That's what a professor does, right? So let's go around. Up and down the column instead of around the horn. Starting with you, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of Alabama State getting it done for the James Frank Commissioner's Cup Award?
First and foremost, congratulations to Alabama State, Jason Cable. And you see throughout the course of the year, their programs are going to be right there in the mix. Whether you're talking about quote unquote the big 3 or the Olympic sports, they're always in the mix. A very strong and healthy program, strong and healthy fan base. So, kudos to them. You got to take your hat off to Alabama State for what they've gotten done again.
Yeah, exactly. Key word again. AD Drew.
I like metrics just like you do, Dr. Cavil. So I would love to see a metric of comparison to these teams' rankings for the Commissioner's Cup in respect to their budget, to see who's getting the most bang for their buck that they're investing in athletics. That's number one. What these teams did a great, Dr. Cavil, but I like to count championships. And yes, I'm going to pull my divisions back out, Perry. Did the West win any major championships? Because I was sitting up there thinking about it during the break. Football East, volleyball East, men's basketball East. Oh, there it is. Women's basketball, softball East, baseball East. Hell, women's track East. Who won men's track again?
Women's track East.
Women's track was East. Who won men's track?
Texas Southern won that.
Okay, so there's another one for the West. I mean, even when you go into the minor spots, when you go into golf, East, tennis, East. I don't know who won bowling, but I'll flip a coin and it's probably gonna come out East if I can remember.
It was Prairie View.
There's another one for the West. Yeah. But I like to count these. If you want to count championships, each boogie is going to continue to boogie.
Yeah, you're right. Each boogie is getting it done.
I will say that. Dr. Ville, you said it once before. These things are so cyclical. I was down for a long time. A long time. And the West was dominating. So, I'm going to ride this wave for as long as I can ride it. But I've been on the other side, so I know how I feel.
That was before Sam and Bethune came in, Charles.
Yeah, well, yeah, still. I remember. I don't take this for granted.
Brian, bring some civility back to this.
I don't know if I can, Doc, because I'm filing a formal protest on behalf of one of the only top 5 program that does not have sports in all of the SWAC eligible sports. I mean, there are 17 SWAC sports. Let's see, I'm going through the top 5. Texas Southern competes in probably all of them. Southern competes in all of them. I'm sorry?
Texas Southern doesn't have tennis.
Okay, so you compete in 16 or 17. I'm sorry, my apologies. Southern competes in all of them. Jackson State, all of them. Alabama State, all of them. So of course the Alabama State, Jackson State, Southern contingent is going to be. But I think there needs to be a reconfiguration of the point system to accommodate championships and wins per sport. Because y'all are picking up points that we aren't even competing in. I mean, we, Florida A&M. So, look, we ain't talking about them, Drew. Stop bringing them up. Stop bringing them up, Drew.
How the #1 public university in the world gonna not have all 17 sports?
Because we live in the state of Florida, Charles. We live in the state of Florida. That's
why
why.
he's calculating tariffs.
You saw what they did with hijacked our president.
We live in the state of Florida, Charles. Come on now, stop it. You know the issues we're dealing with down here in Florida. So I'm just filing on behalf of the schools that do not have enough participating sports. I'm filing a formal protest. We've sat around 4 years and we've watched y'all run amok and win this award. Okay, and I'm calling for a change. So Dr. McClellan, people in the SWAC, I am formally requesting at your spring meetings that you consider a new method of counting that allows for better equity for teams.
Average out.
An average of the participating sports to be considered. That's it. That's my final argument. I'll table the discussion and wait for more news to come out of the spring meetings. Thank you.
I'm glad you tabled it because equity is a bad word right now, so you can't use it. And then you calculating stuff like it's the tariffs. That's why we ain't got no time to do right now. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports.
Oh, you forgot Perry.
I want to thank Perry White for. Oh, Perry, I didn't give you a chance to get your thoughts in.
I'm simple. I'm just waiting back for the days where SWAC stood for Southern wins another championship. That's all I'm waiting on. Once we get back to those days, all is going to be right in Jaguar land. So I'm just waiting back to what the SWAC truly stands for.
Wow.
Southern wins another championship, and those Commissioner Cups come on back home. So that's for all of y'all, especially you SWAC East lovers, okay?
Yeah, bring it to the West. Thank you.
Southern wants another championship.
Y'all don't have the
touch
budget
that.
for it. So.
You can touch that.
And before we get out of here, I got to give a huge shout out. Of course, you guys see where I say Emmy Award winner right there. I'm a part of a film that's called The Hidden Sport, created by some students on the campus of Southern University, and I'm in it along with some other people that won an Emmy Award last week up in New York. Huge honor, not only to be a part of that, but then just a huge honor for HBCUs to have been recognized, because the number one thing that I got from that was for that room of the audience, that what it was within that realm, this was something new for them. And the Hidden Sport basically brings together to show what's Black college football without the bands in the stands. It's the very essence of the atmosphere that our fans have continually for 40 plus years led FCS in attendance. And there's a reason why we have the biggest classics. There's a reason why homecoming just means more. And there's a reason why our games are so much different from everybody else within on our level. And so to be able to have that and open people's eyes to the idea of what band is, because we know outside of our realm of Black colleges, band is just another spirit squad.
Mm-hmm.
But in our realm, band is like the football team in the stands. Right?
Yeah,
they better bring it in the stands, and they better bring it at halftime. And we have some hostile environments within the conference and the SWAC and around Black college football, where if the band don't bring it, I hear about it right here telling me about, man, I don't know what happened to y'all, but it didn't look good. So the Hidden Sport became for that to win an Emmy. I mean, and the biggest thing I want people to understand, do you know how big an Emmy award winning that is? Do you know what that room looks like when you sit and you look and you see the faces? The huge corporations, the companies, everything that entrenches. So to bring that to an HBCU to be a part of that, I think that is huge. And we're talking about Commissioner Cups and all of these things. That award within itself is a huge award that I think not only just to win it, but then do you take that and do you use that and invest in that to build up your mass comm programs? Because that's something you can use forever when it's talking about recruiting to get students to your school to say, hey, we want an Emmy. Do you know what that means? And I'm hoping moving forward that the administration at Southern, from the board to the on-campus administration, as well as our alums, take into account how huge that is for the institution and realize moving forward for us to continue to have our names in that conversation, we have to then invest into that department, invest into our students, and continue building from that. And don't let this just be a moment where we share, we say congratulations, and we forget about it. This has to be a focal point of saying, if we can do it here with low resource institutions, imagine what we can do if we can just put a little bit more into it. If we can take it serious and if we can pump something into it, that's for me is the overall goal. So I just wanted to make sure I put that message out there. Not only is it awesome for me to have been a part of and to see it win, but for the future of where we're going by being able to use that to recruit students and put money back into the program.
Man, if I had a mic, I'd have dropped it. Well said. Well said. With that, we'll bring it to a close. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and today, AD Drew, Perry White, and Brian Fullfoot, bringing it to you hot and heavy as we always do. Make sure you check them out on all their podcasts and all the things that you're doing. You see, as we open it up, letting you know what was taking place. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Make sure you check out AD and Brian this Sunday. Brian, continue to get the work done. Appreciate you, Charles, what you always do. And good to have you, Perry White. AD Drew, be safe out there on the road, safe travels. And keep us updated in terms
of out tomorrow night and Saturday night.
No doubt.
Bring me back, fellas. I love it here.
All right, we'll get you in here more often, especially when we get into a little more football talk. We'll need that side of things for sure. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Ryan?
Lecture.
AD?
Dismiss. Top of life.
I would have got you. I just didn't want you to mess up the quiz. I want to make sure you knew it. I let you slide.